Welcome back to the beaches here in Dubai. We are live at the World Beach Ultimate Championships here in 2015. And it's been a thrilling start to Championship Friday, a 5-score run from USA's Grandmasters team to take gold over Sweden. And now the second of our 5 championship games today. The Open Masters title features USA and Canada. In partnership with SkyMagazine.com, Dubai Sports proud to present WCBU 2015. Joined by the two great voices who you just heard call that Grandmasters classic, Megan Tormey and Brian Jones. Evan Leffler, thrilled to be with you now. And guys, I know your hearts are still pumping after that last game, but we have to quickly turn the tide. USA and Canada, and the story here, the United States has been the juggernaut. We've talked about that in a lot of divisions. Canada 3-4 in pool play, but have battled into the finals, and they come in with momentum and some confidence, Brian.
Yeah, and when you get to USA-Canada, you can't do anything about the past results because they never matter. We saw that in the mixed division where Team Canada beat Team USA in the semifinals, and we're going to see it here today where Team Canada always has a score to settle in these types of games. They're going to get up for it. They're going to play at a high level no matter what. It doesn't matter that they were 3-4 in pool play. They gritted out a victory over Great Britain in semifinals to get to this game, and I wouldn't be surprised if they could do it again.
They beat France in the quarters, defeated Great Britain in the semis, whom they lost to by 3 in pool play. And this Canadian team, led by captains Dennis Hummerston and Jamie Craig, Hugo Lefrancois, one of the leading goal scorers in the Open Masters division. Megan, this United States team has been the juggernaut, though. A plus 56 goal differential in pool play where they went 7-0.
The interesting thing about this United States team is where a lot of other teams have not had the opportunity to practice together. They've actually held a few practice weekends in Texas where a number of players are based. So they would have a practice on Saturday, they would hang out Saturday evening, and then Sunday they would scrimmage a local Texas team. So they've had the opportunity to practice together, learn what skills everyone had, and then actually field a team together against another team to see how they performed under pressure. The thing that really defines this United States Open Masters team is how wide and even this roster is. You will not see a single person be the star for the United States. It is a team of stars.
And in contrast to the United States, practicing beforehand on the Galveston beaches in Texas, this Canadian team basically came together, a bunch of experienced ultimate players, but trying to congeal from a chemistry standpoint. These two teams met in the opening game of the weekend, so clearly Team Canada very different here on Championship Friday, and we'll send it down to the public address announcer for the introductions of this Open Masters Championship game.
Number 1, Michael Kapoor. Number 2, Tim Murray. Number 3, Matt Wilkin. Number 7, Brett Kolinek. Number 10, Don Tom. Number 11, Jason Reckler. Number 12, Joe Yanaconi. Number 16, John Sandel. Number 19, Sean McCall. Number 21, Ryan Balch. Number 24, Dan Gillick. Number 50, Webster McBride. Number 81, Kevin Ryan. Number 83, Greg Husak. Number 99, Ray Inian. And now help us welcome the Canadian team. Number 2, Dennis Hummerston. Number 3, Colin Young. Number 5, Chris Arnello. Number 7, Matt Lynch. Number 9, Miles Liu. Number 13, Pete McCann. Number 15, Jamie Craig. Number 60, Mathieu Dussault. Number 19, Deb Sharma. Number 23, Hugo Lefrancois. Number 24, Louis-Philippe Nouin. Number 28, Frederick Lee. Number 29, Jean-François Paul. Number 32, Dan Ellenberger. Number 35, Pierre-Yves Lavertu. Number 45, Jimmy Rowley. Number 55, Peter Lewis. Number 79, François de Bellefeuille. And finally, number 80, Christopher Witt. Gentlemen, take the field.
It's the Open Masters gold medal game here on the beautiful beaches in Dubai. The bronze medal went to the Philippines, an 8-5 win over Great Britain yesterday. And today we'll see USA, Canada. A little surprising that this is the only matchup of USA versus Canada on this day of 5 championships, 2 of the top ultimate countries in the world. We saw a couple semifinals and championship games yesterday involving these 2 North American powers, but today, this is the only USA-Canada showdown, and of course, USA dominating through pool play. Their closest game was against the Philippines, 13-7, also a 6-point win over Canada, 12-6, and USA taking down the Philippines in the semifinals. Despite some roster upheaval, one of their captains, Ricky Eichstad, who helped select the team, originally a captain, his wife expecting, overdue, so he's back in the States for a very good reason. Our good buddy Chuck Kindred, who we work with on the AUDL broadcast, suffered a disappointing knee injury at layout, so hopefully Chuck is watching back home in about 40, if he's lucky, 40-degree Milwaukee. And Chuck, we miss you, buddy. Wish you could be here. We'll see you soon. USA and Canada, the wind's not nearly as ferocious as yesterday, and from talking to players in all divisions, they seem very relieved by that fact.
And I would be too. Anytime you can come out and play what we consider a normal game of Ultimate, you're going to be excited to do that after you experience 45, 50-kilometer-an-hour winds. That was the second or third windiest day I've seen in an Ultimate field, a tournament in general. I actually had some players, David Price from Get Horizontal, tell me, you know what, we see those type of conditions all the time in the UK. Well, great for them, because everybody else here is thrilled to be on the beach in a somewhat normal 15-kilometer-an-hour wind.
Team USA taking the field in the white jerseys. Team Canada will be in the black with the red trim.
Player I really am looking out for here for Team Canada, number 15, Jamie Craig, was very impressive in a game we did earlier this week. Very good with the throws, a lot of touch, putting it out to space. Played for Phoenix, played for GOAT at one point in time, going to a few nationals in Sarasota. He will be the main guy that Canada has to look to.
He also had the advantage of not having to fly through quite as many time zones as the rest of his teammates. Currently living in Malaysia, just a couple short 4-hour flights. Here we go, the Open Masters title game. Gold on the line and the opening pull out of bounds. So Tim Murray, one of the captains of Cahoots, a top mixed team in North Carolina, played Elite Open Club with Sub-Zero, will initiate play. Marked by Hugo Lefrancois.
One of the players we talked about in the mixed Masters division almost being unfair is Danny Clark, and when you have Ray Ilian on the field, a guy who just was playing Seattle Sockeye at Worlds last season, going to give USA a big advantage.
Ilian certainly a standout at many different levels. He's not even 34 yet, but he will be 34 in October, so that makes him eligible for this Masters competition. The mark fell down. Ilian was open, but a foul will bring it back. Perhaps a pick call in the end zone. Looks like Frank de Bellefeuille.
I've gotten a chance to actually work with Ray Ilian's father, Paul Ilian, a stat guru, and teaching middle school in Seattle.
Crafty throw from Murray into the end zone, and USA strikes first.
Nice and easy offense from Team USA, and I think that's what we can expect to see a lot today. They have discussed as a team the 3 different levels at which you can throw. Level 1 is just cycling, so playing a zone-like offense against a man defense. L2, level 2 is when you start to incorporate those long throws, and then level 3 is crazy throws, scoobers, hammers. They want to keep their play primarily in that first level, just a lot of cycling, and only when it's appropriate, they'll throw in level 2s.
Joanna Cohn with that score for USA. Brian, if the Canadians are going to compete here and give the USA their closest game of the tournament, what are the keys?
The keys for them, we've already talked about Jamie Craig, who I think it has to be the focal point, and he's got to be on point throughout the game. It's going to be extremely important as the wind has started to pick up here that they go through that, and from Canada, they have to stay in it. They have to find that energy that has existed through East Coast and West Coast in these types of grudge matches when they come up against Team USA. They're never going to be out of this game as long as they can keep that mental focus.
Big pull by Ryan Balch. Perfectly coming to a halt in the back of the end zone. Kapoor the aggressive mark, and this is Craig, a Canadian cutter that Brian is keying on.
Played basketball, I believe, in the United States in college. Quite the athlete.
5-on-5 here on the beach. 45 meters from the front of one end zone to the other. 15-meter end zones at each end, so a 75-yard field in length. On the sand, which nullifies speed, but not in the case of Matt Wilkin, who overcomes the distance, but a foul call.
There's always a bang-bang play on these types of calls, as we'll take a look at the replay. Getting the disc first.
That was a clean D right there. I think we'd all agree.
Yeah, made from a very tough position. Notice how he was well behind his player, reaching in, knocking the disc from straight above the Canadians' hands.
And this is what I don't necessarily like here in this situation. It's a self-refereed game, but you should be using a sideline. You should be using a perspective from somebody else, because as the receiver, so he doesn't know exactly when the contact was made. It was a bang-bang play. You can't blame him too badly for calling a foul here, but without another better perspective, he's not going to be able to figure out what the truth is.
Backhand break into the hands of Dave Sharma. One of the Team Canada's leaders in assists, and this one thrown to the end zone for the equalizer. It's Dan Ellenberger.
Besides the nearly D'd puck that ended up being a foul call, I like the movement from Canada right off the bat. I was focusing in so much on Jamie Craig, and I wonder if Team USA was as well, because Craig was able to get open for one of the early passes, and then it was a dump swing off the field using everybody. We've seen an inability for teams to rely on just their top players throughout this tournament. We saw that actually just in the last round with Team Sweden trying to carry 5 players through the entirety of the game. And it was clear that they had lost their legs in the latter points.
Especially when the United States started to mount their comeback.
It'll be P.Y. Lever 2 to pull. One of the 2 members of Team Canada currently living in the United States. Lever 2 resides in Seattle, but does play in the AUDL for the Vancouver Riptide north of the border. USA taking a shot, looking for Ilian. Oh, and it's a great defensive play from Canada's Hugo Lefrancois.
Not enough room for Ilian to make the catch.
Going around after the competition is wrapped up.
We were just doing our job of winning the fields.
Well, it was amazing after the 2 championship games yesterday, plagued by the wind. We went down through the disc, and I think the point that we probably didn't make enough on the air yesterday was how hard it is to catch in that wind, even if the disc is seemingly coming right to you. Because of the wind, it's just always wobbling, and your arms are wobbling. And Canada, with a bad mistake, turns it over. Miscommunication on the handler core. Brett Kolinek to the end zone, a bullet flick And the first break belongs to the United States.
It almost looked like a set play from Canada that just no two players on the same page, and that's what happens when you bring a team through applications. Still chemistry not at its high point or not where they would like it to be after this long week, but they have been improving. As we talked about, Team Canada going 3-4 in pool play and getting here today for the finals, they will at least get a silver medal. It's what a lot of teams' philosophy was coming in, and you think back, we've been here all week. On Sunday, a lot of teams were talking to me and Megan about, we're just trying to get better at this point. We're not too worried. Peaking at the right time.
Dan Gillick with that score, one of the most consistent and versatile players on this Open Masters team. 11 goals and 11 assists now in the week after that one. Gillick from Berkeley, plays mixed for Blackbird, a beach volleyball background, so he's very comfortable on the sand and great explosiveness.
You saw that all week from teams that specific.
Underneath for Craig. I'll send it back to J.F. Paul. Michael Kapoor on the mark. Kapoor, the leading goal scorer for Team USA over the course of the tournament thus far. 14 scores. Leading scorer in the Open Masters division, Philipp Kitzmann from Germany, scored 24 times, and that's an incredible tiptoeing of the sideline in the end zone. Canada says it's a score. USA in disbelief as the Canadians get back within one.
You just see the defenders looking there, hoping that a call is made, but no call to be there. And not a great view on the replay because all the sand that gets kicked up.
I'd love to see that again, maybe from the backside angle if we've got it. The sand, as you mentioned, preventing us from the clean view.
And that's been more of a topic of a discussion as we take a look at a skydiver, one of the many things you can do here in Dubai.
Now, all morning long, people have been just falling out of the sky here on the beach.
All attached to parachutes, we should add.
We hope.
Was joking with the Team USA players that during the Open final, it could be, say, Kurt Gibson parachuting in for Universe Point.
Talk about a flair for the dramatic.
Exactly.
It sounds like a plot line out of basketball.
Call downfield. I think Ilian might have been involved with a pick. Ilian cut his ultimate teeth at the University of Washington in his hometown of Seattle. Made it to nationals with UW in 2005. They had a great quarterfinal game against the eventual national champions, Brownie in Motion, that Brown team led by Josh Zipperstein and others, the Callahan Award winner that beat Mama Bird with Josh Ackley and Bo Kittredge and Adam Simon, so many other great players in the college circuit that time. That was the time before live coverage. I remember following that Brown Colorado championship game, just clicking Control R to see the score update. Different digits changing on a screen to follow. That was fun. This is better.
Much better, but that was the first Ultimate game I remember watching. And it's something that everybody should get a chance to watch.
And USA counters Ilian to the front door of the end zone. And the catch and score for Webster McBride. 4-2. It's a game to 13, remember. But just 45 minutes until the soft cap goes on.
We haven't seen very many teams reach 13 of late as a result of the wind on the field.
Yeah, I think if we hadn't had the previous couple of days, this would still be considered a fairly substantial breeze that changes the way you play. It just, what we had yesterday in particular was so extreme, such an outlier of extreme wind that this seems so temperate.
Absolutely. This is the type of wind that is more of an equalizer, as we were talking about yesterday. The wind so gusty that it was a deficit for both teams. Here we're finding that it's just enough to make a difference between a good player and a great player. Of course, the one thing that this might impact for Team USA is they were hoping to force Canada to play their long game. And with this much wind, they might think twice about putting those long puts. USA hoping that they could battle in the air for the disc, looking like they're going to have to play a much tighter, harder man defense to generate those turns.
Oh, Matthew Dassault, the team's leader in assists, 5th in the Open Masters division during the tournament. But he just threw that one into the sand looking for the front pylon.
And the difference in the game thus far has not been the scheme, it's not been the system. Canadian players have been able to get open. It's been throws and miscommunications that have given the disc back to Team USA and the chance to get up to this 4-2 lead and now potentially 5-2.
Talking with Matt Wilkin before the game yesterday, he said that in their game against Great Britain, they threw a perfect game, not a single error offensively.
Looks like a foul was called there. Throw clearly errant.
I hope that game must have been played in the morning, because that would have been darn impressive if they were doing it in the wind we saw yesterday. You know, I've gotten a chance to watch some very windy games that were comparable to yesterday, and that's when a normal game you'll see players have maybe 6 to 10 turnovers on a bad game. When you start getting over 100, you know you're in a windy situation.
Team USA looking for another break. On the cusp and into the end zone. Dan Gillick with his second score.
I love the flow you see from Team USA, and this is an experienced move on the replay. Quick dish, right away, turn and throw, no hesitation. It's just something that you're afraid to do potentially as a young player, because you'll do that in college, and we've all been there, where you try to throw it quickly and it doesn't work out, and they say you need to be chilly with the disc. But once you have the advantage, you might as well keep playing it, and that's a move that Seattle Sockeye relies on to this day.
We haven't talked a lot about spacing specifically this week, but you know, on the beach, 5-on-5, sure there's a decent amount of space, but this Open Masters Team USA squad seems to be really in a Sockeye fashion creating great cutting lanes for the throwers.
And that's what it's come down to, and that's where you can see their continuous flow. And when you have flow, it's kind of like the greatest achievement an offense can get. You can make do without it, but it makes life much harder. With flow, you feel great. You make the other team frustrated, and it's very difficult to stop.
And when you keep those lanes open, Evan, as you were saying, it helps your entire team conserve energy, having to fight as hard as you do to get open in beach. If you're able to keep space, maintain space, it's going to go so much easier and smoother for your team.
In pursuit, LP Blanc, and he can't come down with it. The defender nearby, Matt Wilkin. Looks like a foul might have been called. What do you think, Brian?
It looks like he was hit over the head. I don't think the defender had a play on the disc, and it's tough because in this situation, if we could really slow it down, you'll see when the contact occurred. But it looks like it did force the receiver down into the ground. I wouldn't say it's a bad call by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just not sure the timing of the play. In this case, it may just go back.
Or the Canadian team will, no, it will go back. Looked like he was getting ready to mark the guy on the goal line.
And sometimes this is the beauty of self-officiation, in the fact that you could come up here, maybe see it on video replay and make a conclusive decision, but sometimes that's the right move. A do-over is okay in this game, and it's not the greatest thing for the spectators, and I'm sure we'll talk about that throughout, but it can be great for the players.
I must admit, at times, that Grandmaster Championship game felt like a televised debate with some occasional breaks for Ultimate. But I think what most people will remember was just the unbelievable comeback by the USA Grandmasters team, led by Adam Goff, the captain. Oh, over the head at the last moment and pop past Kevin Ryan and into the grasp of Jean-Francois Paul. Canada back within 2.
It's never where you want to be as a defender for this to happen on camera. Unfortunate misread of the situation, but that's what will happen with the wind. This will pop up, and that's what you're seeing just because also naturally because of the arena. Because of this buffer of the stadium itself, you're going to see wind swirl, and we see this affect the stadiums, whether it was in Japan and WUGC in 2012. Teams have to adjust where the wind is actually different on either side of the field and is affected by that. And you know what? The majority of Ultimate Frisbee is not played in stadiums. So even though these are experienced elite throwers, they haven't seen these conditions too often.
As Kevin Ryan, the player who missed that disc by mere inches, came off the field, he was hugged by most of his teammates. That's what I love about this United States Open Masters team, is that they really have generated a lot of good chemistry. The team was incredibly well selected. Not only are they fantastic players, but they've turned into great teammates together. That kind of chemistry, that kind of team unity, can't always build in a week, and yet this is just a good combination of individuals.
A lot of these all-star teams have come together in a way where, you know, they may have not played together before, but they've known each other pretty well from competing against one another. You know, some of the guys on this United States Open Masters team really had very little contact with some of their teammates before the lead up to this competition, and that's why, Megan, those weekends in Galveston outside of Houston were so valuable. Be able to come together, stay in a house as a team. I'm sure they had some fun. I'm sure they gained some cohesion. And the question still in the balance of whether that preparation will help lead to gold. But so far, it's looking good for the United States.
Lavartu with the miscommunication. I think one of his teammates looked like he was streaking deep. The only saving grace of that misfire is that now U.S. has to work it from the opposite end zone to their own.
We saw a lot of punt and play D strategy yesterday. Just throw it deep and hope for the best to play field position.
Making the run, Joe Iannacone, and hangs up, and he gets hammered as he makes the catch. Score it and the foul for Team USA.
There was a time for and one. Great throw.
Incredible stability on that forehand deep shot.
A mere 3 throws in that possession puts one up for the United States.
This is the second of 5 championship games that we'll have for you live today. Coming up next, the women's title game, USA versus Russia. They had a 2-point nail-biter in pool play. That expected to be a very tight game, not a USA walkover. At least that's the expectation. And then the Open Championship game, USA versus Great Britain. I know a game, Brian, that you've been looking forward to. We saw Great Britain look really strong a few days ago, and they have not lost a game this week on the beach.
That's what happens when you bring a team that's essentially Clapham plus Sam Bowen. Great chemistry. They've been playing like this already for years.
Last but not least, the only final to not include the United States, Canada, and Germany in the mixed division to round out our week-long coverage here from Dubai. This is Jamie Craig. Inside flick, defended on a fantastic layout by Dan Gillick. The lanky California native comes up with a D. Now he's looking for the assist. Short forward for Greg Cusack. Former Condors standout hits Don Tom in the end zone, and USA takes half.
USA.
Quickest game we've seen in a while, only 23 minutes in. Megan, I mean, I don't know if there's anything Canada can do to stop this flow and continuation. This is exactly where you want to be if you're an ultimate team.
I agree. You look at the United States team and how fired up and enthusiastically they are playing this game. Again, it comes down to them pulling their energy from one another. They seem to be gelling as they have been this entire game. Those early points that looked a little tight, a little contested, seemingly not bothering them at all.
Great atmosphere building here at the stadium on the shore of the Persian Gulf here in the United Arab Emirates.
Exactly right. Great atmosphere after we suffered through the sandstorms yesterday. Literally, it's a clear day, no sand. I think
today's the nicest day yet, and I think it would be pretty unanimous. Everyone would agree. It feels appropriate as Ryan Balch gets ready to pull.
If you had any questions about how nice a day it was, all you have to do is look down the coast of the beach and see everybody out here on the weekend.
You know, the atmosphere at the stadium will only get livelier as the day progresses. Canada forced to play this from the back corner of the end zone, and this is Jean-Francois Paul. Now you look at the big picture for Team Canada. This is a team that was tied for 5th in pool play, with the USA taking the pool with an undefeated 7-0 mark, a 56-point differential, plus 56. This deep shot will not be caught. Tough over-the-shoulder attempt from Ellenberger. And USA quickly counters. Behind the U.S. was Great Britain at 6-1, and France and Germany were both 4-3 in pool play. It's a good layout D to get that disc back. Canada was actually tied for 5th at 3-4 with the Philippines, but got in the quarterfinal play. Everybody qualified. They knocked off France in, by seed at least, an upset. And then knocked off that Great Britain team that before the semis had only lost to the USA squad. Timeout on the field taken by the United States. They lead 7-3 here in the Open Masters gold medal game.
The score really starting to reflect what United States has done all week. We've seen what kind of margin they have won their games with, but they said they tended to play those first few points tight and then started to pull away. Something else interesting I think that the U.S. team has done throughout the week is they've experimented with different things. So they've tried a zone. They weren't crazy about it, but they still committed to working on it. So there were a few points that they gave up with the idea that it would make them better in the end. So, of course, everybody dealing with chemistry issues, but I think the United States purposely set themselves up with some interesting challenges to become better as a team, to learn about one another and what their strengths and weaknesses are across the board, not just with man defense, not just with easy offense. They really have been pushing just outside their box of capability to learn where their true strengths are.
And the great balance has allowed them to experiment and tinker and mix and match. Trying out different lineups. No matter who's on the field, you've got talent. Kolinek marking Craig. Underneath, it's Dussault. And a great layout grab with his defender climbing on top of him. Dan Ellenberger wearing Ryan Balch like a backpack.
I don't know how you're going to have to fit that through customs.
Not sure it was anything dirty or intentional, but Balch just landed on top of Ellenberger, and then as Ellenberger tried to get up, he tripped him again. So Ellenberger keeps the disc. Looking to the end zone, and while it may not have been the intended target, it worked out as Matthew Dussault has the Canadian score.
Dussault with a great bid there. contrasting how wide the United States roster is, we see here the Canadian Masters team really runs through a few individuals. Jamie Craig, as Brian was mentioning earlier, but Matthew Dussault has been huge for the Masters team as well. He has 19 assists, had 19 assists and 8 goals walking into this game. And then Lefrancois, also another big Canadian Masters player, 22 goals and 3 assists.
The effect we saw that Craig had in the previous games that we have done has been negated today, and just the squelching defense by Team USA hasn't given him any opportunity to put up some of those big throws that we've seen, and he's been a non-factor in this game.
Lever to the pull. And that's a beauty. USA with its back on the end line. Finally gets it out of the end zone in some space. Webster McBride takes a shot. Tim Murray in pursuit. What a point from USA from the back of the end line. About 65 meters the other direction for the score.
The speed on Murray on that catch. He booked it from half field into the end zone. No one was even close to guarding him.
Team USA is running away with it. It's hard to fathom here, even though we just saw a monumental comeback in the last game, of how Canada is going to put this together. USA would have to start having their own miscommunication, their own unforced errors at this point with a 4-point lead.
5 scores away from clinching another USA gold. It won't be a sweep for the United States delegation, but the Open Masters team could make it 4 for 4 by closing this one out.
Controversy surrounding the end of the USA-Canada mixed game has already made its rounds through the Twitter sphere.
In the semifinal, controversial call on a layout hand block. Those 2 semifinals yesterday, guys, were really the talk of the tournament. You know, that final point USA-Canada mixed, and then the final point that lasted even longer in USA-Philippines Open, complete with the Spirit timeout. USA finally prevailing. Nice one-handed grab by Paul and Ellenberger. Stall count rising and a stoppage. A pick called away from the disc as Ryan was run through Sandel. Sandel and McCall, the 2 captains of this U.S. team now.
Those 2 individuals made an appearance in 2011 on the Masters Beach team, together again to field this Masters team.
Over Husek. Canada able to find Sharma in the end zone, and it's 8-5. USA turnover. Again, it's Ellenberger. He's been open in the end zone so frequently this week. One of Canada's top deep cutters. And so the door remains slightly ajar here. It's going to take one heck of a rally, though.
It's a bit surprising that we don't see more of this Canadian-USA matchup across divisions. You talk about the international game, and you see that the main difference is that high school sports are so inbred in USA and Canada, and they have such an advantage from that from a competitive standpoint, whereas other countries are dealing with, Sweden's dealing with under 100 players to choose from through these tournaments.
I'd say you talk to more players from other countries that didn't start playing until they were in their mid-20s. You know, something that they found with friends after college and university. Dangerously close to that pull. Brett Kolinek dodges it. And here comes Murray to initiate play.
You see this cup is very wide, or really, it might even be construed not as a cup, but as a flatter zone. Just to switch downfield a little bit. And again, the goal is to make the USA hesitate. And like Evan, we talked about, it didn't actually work last possession for Team Canada, but their man-to-man defense hasn't been doing any better.
McCall to the wide open Iana Cone.
6, USA.
Unimpeded by the Canadians on that possession.
There are still times when you come through and you look at this zone, it will get shredded. Yes. Was it the best option potentially that Canada had? I don't know. But if you're a coach in this situation, you're down by 4 and you haven't been able to stop the other team's offense all game long, you're reaching into your toolbox and trying to grab every single thing you have, coming up with new things on the fly, whatever you can do, because you don't have time. You have this 5 minutes left in the game. It's a game to 13. And you need to try to win right now.
You guys see all those clouds? What's with that? We got to do something about that. This is not nearly as perfect as it was a few minutes ago.
I don't know. I think the people in the stands who don't have the benefit of a shade tent like we do have to appreciate at least the tiniest bit of protection from the sun.
Canada trails 10-6. And Francois flips it over to Sharma. And a good layout from Dassault. And now downfield at Francois. Sharma absorbs the contact, keeps playing through it. Looking to the end zone, enough float? Nope, not quite.
Sharma just unable to put it out there, and he tried to go with it quick. In this wind, you want to take advantage of the continuation, but that's at a 20-meter distance. That's going to be really tough to hit in general right away off of the initial catch. Sometimes you need to be a little less hasty. The wind has started to pick up. Normally, that's going to be an easy throw to hit if it's just still conditions.
Lefrancois taking an injury on that point, which is, as we've mentioned before, a huge deficit for Canada since their offense runs